Welcome to this lecture on the conditions for Darboux integrability. Imagine trying to calculate the exact amount of paint needed to cover a wall with a very bumpy, irregular top edge. You cannot use a simple rectangle formula from basic geometry because the height is constantly changing. Today, we are going to explore how mathematicians solve this exact problem. We will build our understanding from zero, learning how to trap the true area between overestimates and underestimates, and discover the powerful integrability criterion that makes modern calculus and computer simulations possible. Let us dive in. Now that we understand the challenge of irregular shapes, let us look at how we approach it conceptually. Why does this matter? Because in the real world, perfect curves are rare. To find the area, we draw a grid over the shape. By counting the squares completely inside, we get a guaranteed underestimate. By counting every square that touches the shape, we get a guaranteed overestimate. The true area is trapped somewhere exactly between these two numbers. If you make your grid square smaller and smaller, the gap between the overestimate and the underestimate shrinks. If you can shrink that gap so much that it becomes practically zero, you can confidently say you know the exact area. Building on this idea of grids, let us formalize it using mathematical tools called Darboux sums. In calculus, we divide our main interval into smaller pieces using a set of points called a partition. For each small piece, we look for the highest point of the function and draw a rectangle. Adding these up gives us the upper Darboux sum, which is our mathematical overestimate. Then we do the same using the lowest points to find the lower Darboux sum, our mathematical underestimate. A function is considered Darboux integrable if the lowest possible overestimate exactly equals the highest possible underestimate. This is the core concept of Riemann integration. Since calculating exact theoretical limits is incredibly difficult, this brings us to a highly practical test known as the integrability criterion. Conceptually, this formula states that a function is integrable if and only if, for any tiny error margin you choose, you can find at least one partition where the difference between the upper and lower Darboux sums is strictly less than that error margin. Let us look at the symbols. U is the upper Darboux sum, our overestimate. L is the lower Darboux sum, our underestimate. Epsilon represents our chosen error margin, an arbitrarily small positive number. If we decrease epsilon, we demand a tighter approximation, which means we must use a finer partition with more points to ensure the gap between our overestimate and underestimate stays below that shrinking threshold. Before we move on to concrete examples, let us see this with a visual diagram. Here, you are looking at a curve plotted on an x and y axis between points A and B. Notice the highlighted vertical slice. The taller blue rectangle represents the upper Darboux sum for that specific piece, hitting the highest point of the curve. The shorter red rectangle represents the lower Darboux sum, hitting the lowest point. The crucial part is the space between the top of the red rectangle and the top of the blue rectangle. This visual difference is the error gap. The integrability criterion simply demands that the total area of all these gaps combined can be made smaller than our chosen error margin, epsilon. Now that we have a visual understanding, let us apply this condition to a very simple scenario to see how it works in practice. We will test a constant function, where the output value never changes, forming a flat horizontal line. Our goal is to prove that this flat line is Darboux integrable. We start by defining the upper sum. Because the function is a flat line, its maximal height in every single subinterval is simply c. We multiply this constant height by the width of each piece and add them together. Factoring out c, the sum of all widths is just the total interval length, b minus a. So the upper sum is c times b minus a. The minimum value is also exactly c. Continuing with our constant function, we now calculate the lower sum. Using the exact same logic, the minimum height is c, so the lower sum is also c times b minus a. We now have both our overestimate and our underestimate. The next step is to find the difference between these two sums to check our integrability condition. Subtracting the lower sum from the upper sum gives us exactly 0. This makes perfect intuitive sense because a flat line has no bumps or curves to cause an overestimation error. Since 0 is strictly less than any positive error margin epsilon, the condition is perfectly satisfied. Physically, this means a flat rectangular area can be calculated with absolute 0 error. Having seen a successful case, let us look at a strange mathematical edge case where the integrability condition completely fails. We will examine the Dirichlet function on the interval from 0 to 1. This function is highly erratic. It outputs a value of 1 if the input is a rational fraction and 0 if the input is an irrational number. What is given is this jumping behavior, and we are asked to find if it is integrable. Because rational numbers are packed everywhere, no matter how tiny you make a subinterval, it will always contain a rational number. Therefore, the maximum height is always 1. Multiplying this height by the widths gives a total upper sum of exactly 1. Continuing with the Dirichlet function, we must now find our underestimate. Just like rational numbers, irrational numbers are also packed everywhere along the number line. This means every single subinterval will always drop down to a minimum height of 0. Calculating the lower sum with a height of 0 gives us a total lower sum of exactly 0. Now we check the gap. The difference between the upper sum of 1 and the lower sum of 0 is exactly 1. If we choose an error margin epsilon of 0.5, our gap of 1 is clearly not smaller than 0.5. Because we cannot shrink the gap, the condition fails. Physically, this erratic shape does not have a well-defined area. So we have successfully used the formula and examples. This brings us to the formal proof of the integrability criterion, starting with the sufficiency part. We are setting out to prove that if the shrinking gap condition holds true, the function must absolutely be integrable. We start by looking at the relationship between a specific partition's sums and the true upper and lower integrals. The true lower integral is the highest possible underestimate, and the true upper integral is the lowest possible overestimate. Therefore, they are always squeezed between the lower and upper sums of any specific partition. Because of this squeezing effect, the gap between the true upper and lower integrals must be smaller than the gap between our outer rectangle approximations. Continuing with the sufficiency proof, we now apply our main condition. The integrability condition guarantees that we can make the outer gap between the upper and lower Darboux sums strictly less than any positive error margin epsilon. We substitute this tiny error margin into the inequality we just built. This shows that the gap between the true upper and lower integrals is squeezed below epsilon. Since epsilon can be any arbitrarily small positive number, the true gap is a non-negative number that is smaller than every possible positive number. The only mathematical choice left is that the gap must be exactly 0. This forces the upper and lower integrals to be perfectly equal, proving the function is indeed integrable. Now that we have proven sufficiency, let us prove the necessity part of the theorem. This chunk of the proof sets out to show the reverse. If we already know a function is integrable, the shrinking gap condition must naturally follow. We start by assuming integrability, which means the true upper and lower integrals are exactly the same value. Because the upper integral is defined as the greatest lower bound of all possible upper sums, we can always find a specific partition that gives an overestimate incredibly close to it. We define incredibly close as half of our total error margin, epsilon over 2. By the exact same logic, we can find another partition that gives an underestimate incredibly close to the true lower integral. Continuing with the necessity proof, we have two excellent approximations, but they come from different partitions. To use them at the same time, we combine all the dividing points from both partitions into a new master partition called a common refinement. The mathematical intuition here is that adding more points to a grid always makes our approximations better. The upper sums get smaller and the lower sums get larger. We then look at the gap between the upper and lower sums for this new highly refined partition. We substitute the bounds we established in the previous step, combining the two halves of our error margin. This sets us up perfectly for the final algebraic cancellation. We have reached the final steps of our necessity proof. We take the inequality we just built and distribute the negative sign. This leaves us with the true upper integral minus the true lower integral plus the two halves of our error margin. Remember our very first assumption? The function is integrable. This means the true upper integral exactly equals the true lower integral. When we subtract them, they completely cancel each other out to 0. The two halves of epsilon add together perfectly to give a whole epsilon. We have successfully proven that if a function is integrable, the gap between the upper and lower sums is strictly less than our error margin. The proof is now complete in both directions. So, we have proven the theorem and seen it in action. Let us summarize the key takeaways from this topic. First, Darboux integrability is all about trapping the true area between guaranteed overestimates and underestimates. Second, the integrability criterion is a powerful tool that lets us check for integrability without ever needing to calculate the exact infinite sums directly. Third, a function is integrable if and only if the gap between its upper and lower sums can be made arbitrarily small. Finally, this is not just abstract theory. This condition is the foundational guarantee that numerical methods and computer simulations used in engineering will actually converge to true physical values. You have now mastered the core conditions for Darboux integrability. Excellent work.